Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins.
and you're on the air with Power Squared. Tonight, our guest is Jamal Anansi.
Anansi.
Anansi,
And now
yes.
we just had a whole
Yeah,
conversation.
I
I don't
know, and
understand
I
what
blew it.
happened.
I blew it.
Yeah.
I got one out of the way then. So we met at the Pasadena Comic Con. You were in
For sure, man.
the booth next to us or the table next to us,
Yeah,
doing much better
yeah,
than we were doing.
yeah, yeah. So
Was that a
y'all
success
did
for
well,
you?
man. I seen y'all selling some books, man. Y'all was
Yeah,
doing y'all thing.
we sold two books.
2,000 books? Oh yeah,
No,
I know.
no,
Two
just
hundred
just
books.
two, just two.
200 books? Hey,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Hey, it
yeah,
be like that, man. You
yeah.
gotta, you gotta set the bar, man.
Yeah, well,
So I
I'd love
feel
to actually make back the money for the table, but that was not in the cards.
you.
But it seemed like you were doing pretty well.
Man. I did pretty good. I've been at this for a couple years, and I threw my whole check into this for my real job. But it's basically about because the first couple of shows I went to, LA Comic Con, in 2023.
Hmm.
Yeah, I went to that show and just walking. That was my first ever Comic Con. Just walking around and seeing everybody set ups and to every subsequent Comic Con I went to, I was always paying attention to what caught my attention, how what convinced me to walk to somebody's table and buy comics.
Right.
What stations and what booths stood out, among others, right? And so I just tried to adapt all those things, like much of how I learn, just in general how I learn about the right comics. I just watch and I learn. I try to just emulate the things that work, and I notice the things that done, and also took heed to a lot of advice a lot of folks gave me, man, and trying to just start up doing comics mostly, actually have a book, because when you first going around, you talking, you like, hey, I want to do comics, and there's so many people like that.
Yeah.
There's so many people that say, hey, I want to do comics, this is cool, I'm writing my own right now, and everybody's like, sure, because every fifth person that comes to the table says that, you know what I mean? But it's true. But
Yeah.
and people ask me the same thing too, and I'm always encouraging, like people are encouraging to me, because you never know what they say. I heard a quote the other day, man. I was watching the Actors on Actors with Samuel Jackson and Viola Davis.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even say her name right, but Viola Davis. Yeah, right. And they was basically like, don't step on the shoes of people today whose ass you might have to kiss tomorrow, or something to that effect, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, right. So it's like you never really know. I mean, I'm not an asshole anyway. I'm always try to be my best to be nice and be patient and be humble and listen to people who come to the table, because it's like the artists in general are we live in our heads a lot, and we have a lot of internal stuff we're dealing with, and it's hard for us to get it out. And so when somebody's brave, well, and we get out through our art, right? But when somebody's brave enough to circumvent that safety net of that art and come actually talk about their dreams and what they want to do and what they're trying to accomplish and trying to get some advice on that subject, I just want to do what people did for me and just try to be gracious and be generous with the advice I've gotten and the things I've learned. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. One of the things we noticed was that you were giving away stickers.
yeah, that helps a lot, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
But they were like Star Wars stickers. I kept hearing people saying, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, because for one, it's like I remember going, some early Comic Cons, and people like stickers, and I'm like, okay, well, I can make. My thing is like, okay, well, I want people to come to my table, and I need Instagram followers, right? And so I was thinking like, hey, how about I get stickers and say, hey, would you like a free sticker? And get to stickers people, people that like the most, whether Star Wars or DC or anime or just
Uh,
any kind of nuance, stickers that say something cool or look cool, something like that. You know what I mean? Because it's free and they don't cost really that much. For like a little bundle, it's probably like 10, $15 on Amazon for like a bundle of like 200 or something like that. So it's like, you know what I mean? And it's an investment, how I look at it, because number one, you get people when they say, hey, you want a free sticker? Now you got somebody at your table,
yeah, yeah.
right? And when other people walk by, they see somebody at your table, like, oh, what they're doing over there, what's going on? And now they're interested. You know what I mean? A lot of times when they come to the table and they get a sticker and they look up and like, oh, you got comics too? I'm like, yeah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I tell them
Yeah.
about it, and
That really, as we watched over and over again, that really worked for you at the
yeah,
con.
yeah,
We were like,
yeah,
oh, look at that. We should
yeah,
steal
exactly.
some
Yeah, because I
stickers and
mean,
give them away.
Yeah, stick it. Yeah, it's a good idea, man. Go
Then,
ahead, take it, man. Yeah, please.
well, we steal from everybody.
Damn right.
So when did you discover that you wanted to be a writer?
Man, well, I was real young when I was writing, like, my elementary school classes. I always had a vivid imagination because, cartoons in general, and I just always had that thrill of, just wanting to create a story and just loving cool stories in general. Watching cartoons and wondering, like, man, how does somebody get this job, right? And so, and I never really made the connection between when I was a kid between cartoons and writing. I was always, just good at, watching cartoons. Yeah, I'm real good at that. And also good at, yeah, I'm expert at that. I should win awards for that.
Yeah,
But but also I was good at, writing as well. My mother, she was special education teacher's assistant and everything. And in order to help teach the kids, she used like hooked on phonics and flashcards and just, repetitive learning and all those skills and tips and tricks she used on me, when I was a baby, all the way coming up,
yeah.
and it worked so well that I was, writing my name by the age of 2,
Oh, cool.
and I was always, every time, it was a writing assignment in class, I was always, I always, teachers like write a paragraph or write a page, and I write 2, 3 pages. You know what I mean? And my penmanship was always, better than everybody else's because I just, I practiced it more. And I always had that knack for, writing and creating stories when I was a kid. Now I got away from it when I was about entered like junior high, high school, really junior high because girls and stuff. So you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I was like, man, I got I got a little distracted.
yeah.
You know what I mean? As it happens. And then I got a little older and high school came and football and having fun and more girls and doing that. But also just I'm living in LA, South Central LA, so gangs became a large factor. So much so, I got away from it. I went to prison, for a long stretch, and that's where I got back into writing. Writing letters, yeah, but specifically writing stories while I was in prison. I wanted to write a book, essentially, initially, excuse me, early on, but writing a book by hand
Yeah.
is tedious, if you can
Oh,
imagine,
I
because
I've done that as when I was growing up. I would write everything out. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
it's cool when when you're young and you don't know what you're getting yourself into because you're just writing, you're just having fun. But when you're older and you kind of know what you want to do, but you start doing this, like, man, this is because not just the writing, it's the rewriting. And when
uh-huh.
you're doing all this in pencil or in
Oh
pen,
yeah,
it's a lot. So I'm like, man, it got to be an easy way to do this because I had these stories in my head. It's hard for me to get them out, And then it was starting stopping. It was just not really getting into it, but I had some cool stories I was coming out with, just writing prose,
right.
right, writing prose, and the way novels do. And one day I was in my cell. I had moved newly to a building and everything, transferred prisons, and I was in the building. I was collecting comics at the time. I had like quite a few on my shelf, sitting on my shelf, and we had uh, a friend, and which became a mentor of mine. He was walking by my cell. He was a porter. Now, a porter, or in prison, is basically a guy who we're in the cells, but the guy outside who sweeps the chair and the floor and make sure everything clean. And if anybody needs something, he helps pass things along, things like that, and fears, not like that. But anyway, he was walking by and sweeping the floor, and he looked at my cell. He's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He introduced himself because I was new, and I was like, "What's up, man? What's going on?" And he was like, "Man, what's up, man? I see the comics on your shelf, man. You like comics?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm a writer." Like, "Oh, you a writer?" You say, "Well, write me something. I'm an artist, man. Well, write me something." Now, I have written stuff before, but I had never written a comic,
Right.
right? And so I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna write you something. I got you." He was like, "Okay, cool." So that was probably like at I don't know 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I want to be a man of my word, right? And so
Right.
I sat down, and I started writing. I was writing all night, probably to like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I wrote essentially which was the first 4 issues of my series, the Godless, which is what is currently the whole world, the Ebony series is based out of.
Okay.
I
All right.
created the whole little series now like that. Now I gave it to him, and he read it, and he was like, "Oh, this is different," because a lot of times, especially when we come from, you kind of expect people to write a certain way or about a specific subject. So me being a gang member and all like that from LA, Compton, Watts, or whatever, you probably expected me to write, something about, gang banging or LA or something to that effect. And that was the farthest thing from me, from what I wanted to do because that lifestyle was so traumatic and depressing to me. I didn't want to relive that because it resulted in so much pain, not just for me, but for the people around me and everything, right? And so I got I was always in enthralled with fantasy adventures, quests, epic tales, and I was recently reading the R.A. Salvatore and the Drizzt series and everything, and I was just tripping out on how the dark elves were depicted. How people were dark skinned, they were vilified, and they were evil, considered evil, and how they lived underground, and how the matriarch society that they lived in was considered backwards and evil, and how the goddess Loth, the spider goddess, was considered evil and bad and wicked. And I'm like, okay, well, I know what perspective this book is being told from. you know, you know what I mean? So, but I didn't look at it as because I looked at it as art, regardless of the subject matter, like in who it comes from. I look at the technique and the story that's being told, right? And it was a very well done story, but it was just biased in a certain degree, But I still appreciated the thought and the preparation, the techniques she used, and the world building he created to make that story and that whole genre so richer, because he added the the lore of dark elves, and he made it so much richer because of his contributions to it, R.A. Salvatore, right? And so, but I had that that in my mind as I was writing my story, and I just kind of just flipped it all on his head. I made the dark ones, the night elves, good, and I changed the whole thing. It's a lot to go into. I'm not gonna go into it right now because it's a little bit, what I mean. But it's just that was the that was the germ that that spread throughout my mind. I wanted to just play with that, that just general idea, and it turned into turned into this, me writing comics and having tables at shows and getting signed by Skye-Tiger Comics. Now I'm a staff writer for the company, and now we're gonna we're talking about trying to we're organizing a Comic-Con expo in Compton.
Yeah.
That's blowing up on social media right now.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram actually.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's going amazing. So we getting that going too. So it's been like a little bit of a whirlwind, but I'm thankful and appreciative. But at the same time, it's like, okay, now I really I got to get shit done.
Yeah.
What I mean? I got to make sure I'm living up to what people expect me to be. So it's about hitting deadlines and just getting the work done, man. Making it happen.
So, Studio Skye-Tiger, what I mean is that what kind of organization is that?
Yeah, it's a publishing company. We do a lot. It's headed by Ray Anthony Height, the great Ray Anthony Height. Worked for Marvel and DC for 20 plus years. He decided to take a slight step back from all that so he can start up his own company, because he had his own dream too. He's like, I can do my own thing.
Yeah.
What I mean? I don't necessarily need the big two to make my whole living and be the end all be all for his art and his vision of what he wanted to do with his talents. So he started like, man, I'm finna start my own company, man. Skye-Tiger Studio, Skye-Tiger Comics, and it's not just publishing comics, but we also do work for other companies as well. Pencils, inks, art and everything. Like we contract out, right? And so we do a little bit of everything. So that's the foundation he built. And he wanted to expand and actually start putting out actual comics and working all like that. And I'm just honored that I was one of the lucky souls that he chose to to make all our dreams come true.
Do you make a living doing that?
Nah, man,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay.
It would be nice. Yeah, not yet.
I don't think anybody makes a living doing comics out.
Not yet. Nah. I mean, we could. That's on the. That's in the future, and that's definitely the plan and the goal. But I know in order to get to that point to where I can actually just make a living just off of writing comics, I have to write comics.
Yes.
Right? I have to get the work done. I have to develop a portfolio.
So
you know what I mean? Yeah.
The stories you start writing these in prison, and you're continuing to write them. Do you own them, or does Studio Skye-Tiger own them?
Yeah, no, I own everything.
Okay.
I'm
just a publisher for you.
Yeah, you're the publisher for us. What they call it? It's a specific term or phrase. It's a. I don't know. it's gonna come to me,
That's
but it's
fine.
like a specific term to where, But basically, like I'm my label, my own personal publishing company, the one I created, Anansi Comics, basically being absorbed by Skye-Tiger Comics.
Okay.
Like in the way that, back in the day when, Todd McFarlane and, Ryan Layfield and Jim Lee, they have their own individual comic series and everything, but they come together under Image,
Okay. Right.
comics. So that's basically what it is. Even though they
Okay.
have imprint. I'm an imprint.
Imprint.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we
All
go.
right.
Very,
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Boom.
Phew, got
Boom,
that
found
song.
it. Yeah.
So, I was noticing that, and maybe it was a misspelling, but it talked about Lucas working for an ANANIS Comics.
Where is that at? Where'd you find?
That was in his bio in one of your books. I assume it was just a misspelling.
Yeah, misspelling.
Okay.
Man, look, man, you have no idea. And look, bro, even in this book right here, like I read this thing, I wrote it,
Right.
and then I read it 28 times, and Ray read it, and then Lucas, like everybody read it, and then when it goes to print, it's like, oh, it's a couple misspells. Like, it irks me so much. We fixed it already, so it's definitely fixed, but it's just annoying to when we have an editor now that because it's all just us just self-editing and just going
Right.
through it, but our excitement and all the levers we got to push and pull to get it to A to B is doesn't have us exactly focused on everything, which is understandable, but still and yet is for me is no excuse. Like I want to look professional as possible. Like I want to have my books beside Marvel and DC, and you will not be able to tell the difference as far as quality concerned. And saying all that to say, Marvel and DC, they make, edits, mistakes and grammar and every so often, like it happens, so, it's them too. So, but still, yeah, I hold myself to a higher standard, but yeah,
I was just.
I was gonna say it's like when you're about to turn in the essay to the teacher and you notice a typo.
Yeah, it's like, bro, like how? And I stayed up all night looking at this thing. I reread it.
Oh yeah.
And then I gave it to him, and it's like he marks this. It's like the third word you see. It's like how did I miss the third word? That's misspelled. Like,
wasn't there some famous Bible where they left out "Thou shalt not"? It's like "Thou shalt commit adultery" or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
The Wicked Bible.
Priorities.
But you know what?
Left out?
But you also know what it's supposed to say, so you read it.
It's like your brain automatically
fills in the words.
Yeah, fills it in. Exactly. That's what happens. So now I had to stop and purposely no, one word at a time. Just read it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's all.
Oh yeah, because you get in a hurry. You wanted to get it over with, and
I mean, because especially because when you write it and then you read it so many times, like I know what it says, but your brain is tricking yourself. Like, you know what it says because you wrote it, but everybody, it's the whole thing. Like,
nobody else understands it. Yeah,
cognitive, whatever. I don't know.
So what's a typical day like for you?
Man, typical day. I mean, I work my real job.
Yeah.
I work at work with dogs. I work at a dog hotel, so I do that and hang with the puppies all day and chill out and make sure everybody's all right. Then I come home and I write. And sometimes I have a little free time there to where I can walk around on my phone because I have Word on my phone, so I can pull up the scripts I'm working on and I can add little words and change little things and edit. And go on and write like that too, because my mind is always going. My mind is always on my art, man, and writing these stories and trying to make it as best as possible. And I wish I had more time to actually read more comics than I do because I'll be so busy, like, and it's work and then coming home and then writing or brainstorming the idea and getting it out on paper or outlining. And then I have to make sure books are getting printed and the quality of that, and make sure I'm reviewing art from my artists when they turn it in, and then getting the schedules right for my upcoming shows that I have coming up. So it's a lot of bells and whistles that I have to deal with and manage.
There's a lot of business behind the writing. I understand.
Yeah, exactly. And aside from just the writing, right? And so I'm happy when I can get done with all that stuff and just concentrate on the writing.
Yeah.
And these things will get easier now that we have Studio Skye-Tiger, to help me out with a lot of things, but still yet majority of it is just still me. And so I don't mind that at all because that's kind of how it always been since the beginning. So I'm kind of used to it now. It's just, managing it and, managing my workload and getting the schedule for myself. So like, for example, when I get off at work at like 2:00 and I can come home and decompress and, relax, take a shower, eat. And I can okay, at like 4:30, 5:00, then I can start writing, right?
Yeah.
Writing to about, 7, 8 o'clock, or sometimes you don't always write. Sometimes you're just thinking about a story or just trying to just find free space and a quiet space. Because what I like to do because I'm brainstorming, I'm not an artist, because the artist is, you can just get the script and you write. Me, I'm a writer, so I have to come up with the ideas. But in order to come up with the ideas, I need the free time to think and to, brainstorm and, to rationalize storylines, things like that. And so I sit down and I have to, put whatever on to inspire me, whether that's a cool movie, some anime, action adventure. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the subject or the genre I'm writing at the time. It's just something to spark that, that imagination, right? And just like, oh, that'd be a cool idea. And a lot of times I don't be looking and watching the TV. I just be like, just kind of just up and thinking, just having in the back, and then I have my notepad ready to where I can write down notes and everything. Like, I mean, I have a few. I have, this one on hand. I have a couple more around here, right here, that I can just, get in, jot down ideas and generalities and things like that. You know what I mean? And once I get that rough outline out and I'm comfortable with the basic bones of the story, then I'm like, okay, now I can go to my computer and I can type it all out and I can, start filling in little by little, bit by bit. It's a process.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you. You were talking a little bit before the show about your writing process. So you
Right.
outline everything, and
Yeah, outline everything, get the basic, get the beats, story beats from page by page, and I do panel by panel. And what I mean by that, let me see if I can show you a quick. Well, I have a couple examples. It's probably like, this is probably a little. I don't know if you guys can see how small and how teeny tiny I write. But yeah, but it's just the same space, and it's an old habit I have, right? But it's basically, I come up with the ideas, and I, flip through the idea and I come up with it and I write it all down, the basic outline, right? And once I'm comfortable with that, like page and panels, like page one, I just write a quick bullet, what's happening in panel one, panel two, quick bullets. I can fill out the dialogue. Sometimes I put in dialogue sometimes because so I can know basically like the pace of where the conversations are going and what's happening at the time. It just helped me. So when I actually transfer it to the computer and I start typing it out, it helps me fill in those gaps. And once I do that, then, it's, that process of, getting the bones out. And then the dialogue. The dialogue for me is the most important part because that's the part that people read.
right.
Past the images that the illustrator does, right? So what I concentrate most on for the majority of the time after I do the get the bones and the general outline out is the dialogue, the narration, and the caption. Because a lot of the books I've read and I like a lot, they have a good balance of all those things, right?
Yes.
Captions as far as to tell people where you're at, where you're going, the time, the day or whatever you need those captions for, places or whatever. Then a narration, well, the dialogue, yes, of course, because people talk and they need to relay information. Now, what I figured out with narration is you can narrate and it helps, but I want the best books that I pay attention to that when they use narration, they do it to enhance the story, right? They do it to add depth and texture to the story. For example, like Jason Aaron. Jonathan Hickman too does a lot, but I admire Jason Aaron the most when it comes to narration because the style in which he does it, like the grandiosity or the eloquence of his words when he lays it out, adds texture to whatever he's doing, right? And it adds like depth so you can really feel like, because sometimes you got the dialogue when people are saying, and then you got the general illustration of what you see, panel by panel, page by page. But when you have that extra layer of, narration, it can add just more, so even though you're not seeing it, and even though the character's not talking about it, you still learn about it because the narrator is telling you like, the halls echoed with, the voices up, whatever, know what I mean?
Right.
Or, but it is asked that. And so me trying to figure out that balance, and then, me just, working that muscle again, with every subsequent story I write, and then I look over the story because another thing I've learned too in writing comics is one thing, you see different things at different stages, right? And so for example, I can write everything out and meticulously and, look over everything. I'm like, okay, I'm satisfied with the script. Let me send it to the artist. Then the artist looks it over and then he gives me the layouts and I can see like, oh, okay, I'm missing something. Oh, this could be better. It's a beat here I'm missing, or this could be better and this like that. So it's like different ways I can see it, and I learn how to manage those things. And then it's when everything comes out, and then when he illustrates everything, pencil, inks, and colors, and then when the letter adds out a dialogue, now I can read everything. I'd be like, I wrote some stupid stuff right there. That was the stupidest. I could have did that better.
Yeah.
So or it's space where I can fill in. So that's why I'm learning about narration too, and how I can fill in the open spaces. A lot of time you don't need dialogue; the action is enough. But the narration can add a different layer, texture to the story, specifically like if it's the inner thoughts of a character, if you already laid those seeds before, like in the beginning of the story, they start off with narration a little bit before, you know what I mean? So it can
Yeah.
kind of fill in those gaps a little bit and just add like more, more layers to the story, which makes it an overall enjoyable experience. Because I want people to read my stories, whether it's a single issue or whether the whole thing,
Right.
and really enjoy and become immersed in the world and really learn as much as possible without trying to overwhelm them with all this stuff,
Right.
to read. I want to make them reading it be fun as possible as well. And like, oh, that was cool to really know. And just like I don't want them to realize that they're reading all this shit. I want them to just have fun at the
Right.
end of the day, like how when I read comics. You know what I mean? So yeah.
How did you put together your creative team?
Man, Facebook. Uh, finding Facebook. A lot of people go to Fiverr or any other platform they go to get work for hire. Me, I just went to Facebook groups. 2023. Looking for quite a few Facebook groups. Writers looking for artists, artists looking for writers. It's quite a
Yeah.
few. And I studied art in college. I can't write. I mean, excuse me, I can't draw word for lick. But I know techniques. I study techniques, vanishing points, perspectives, um, proportions. All the things that artists gotta do and they should do. The basic techniques, and so I look for those basic techniques in the artists I look for. And then I was looking for affordability.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy is decent, but can I afford him?
Right.
And I found a couple guys, specifically Lucas Cobell, who's my guy who my illustrator on quite a few of my books, specifically Ebony and the Ebony series. I found Alberto Calafiore, man, who's an amazing artist. Man, he's going to come up and he's going to be illustrating my next story, Frankenstein, King of the Zombies. Uh, yeah, right. He's gonna do that when he's from Italy.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And Lucas, he's from Niagara Falls, New York. I found Clovis Batabola. He's from Brazil. And Aubrey Tart. He's from Indonesia. And they were affordable. They're good, and they had great technique.
Right.
And I settled down on just my two, specifically Lucas Cobell and Alberto Calafiore, because they're dope. They're affordable. They're fast as shit. You know what I mean? When I mean fast, I mean they turn in pages, consistently on a regular basis. If something happens, it's a real reason why it's happening. It's not the imaginary reason you're wondering like, what's up with this guy? Like, why is he,
Yeah. Yeah.
playing? You know what I mean? Because I heard a whole bunch of horror stories too about people hiring artists. Specifically if you're gonna hire artists, and I learned hire artists for a short job first before you hire them for a long job, because you don't want to hire an artist for a 30-page book and he gets to page 16 and he fucking vanishes. You know what I mean? Now, and it's like you know what I mean? Or he gets like real slow. Now he's turning pages once a week. Now he's turning page once a month.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, like what are we doing?
We had
You know
that
what
kind
I mean?
with our first artist we had. Towards the end, it was like, okay, it's like 3 pages away. Let's go.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So I think they know that. And they know it, so it's like, hey, you can't quit on me, or you can't fire me because I already did the most of the book. If you can't start over because it costs you too much money. And so now I think they know that, and it pisses me off. You know what I mean? Yeah. They know it's like, you got 4 more pages to go, but it takes you a month to do a page now.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what I mean? I can't necessarily hire, but and it is and weeding through those people. You know what I mean? Because it shouldn't be that way. With artists, and they should just be honest with what they do. But that's why, you order them, hire from short jobs, and see the consistency. And, what I mean by short jobs, it's like 6 to 8 page stories, 6 to 8 to 10 page story. Really not even 10, 6 to 8 pages, honestly. And see what their output is, and ask them beforehand, how long is this page going to take?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's your own self-imposed deadline. And
Yeah.
if that page doesn't come in that time.
Oh yeah, we had that with an artist recently that like, I'll turn it in this weekend. Okay, great. So like Monday or Tuesday, is it the weekend yet?
Exactly.
Yeah, and you
Exactly.
have to. We had a 2-part comic, which we're still kind of finishing, but we had to switch artists in the middle, so one's gonna look way different than the other. But it is what it is.
You can make it work though. You can make it work. It's unfortunate, but it just happens.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when I found my guys and I'm sticking with them. Lucas is spectacular. Alberto is spectacular. I get people hit me up all the time because they see me putting up work when I post it, and they're like, "Hey man, I'm an artist," and I'm like, "No man, No, man. No, I found my guys. You know, what I mean, it's like you find your good girl, man. You stick with her. You
Hmm.
know, you put it down
Oh,
like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
we had an artist for, I don't know, 16 issues or
Yeah.
something, and she was great. And then she decided she wanted to do something else. So, okay. But she's still kind of
yeah,
part of the little family. She did the designs
yeah.
for these and things like that. So,
Exactly.
but
She
yeah,
goes around, man.
that was great, you know, because it's
Yeah,
consistency, and she
yeah.
would turn stuff, and she had gone to SCAD and learned, you know, sequential art and all that. It's like,
Oh
it's
yeah,
great.
yeah. She was a real one. Yeah, it's diamonds in the rough like that, man. Because it's everybody. You know, it's comics, man. So you know, people are doing it for fun, and getting paid for it as an added bonus, right?
Yeah,
It's like, oh shit, I can get paid for this too, right? And you know, artists they have a leg up on writers specifically, because they get paid first.
yeah.
You know, artists get paid first. We get paid last
Yeah.
I,
after we pay a whole bunch of people.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I often say that everybody's made money on this except me. You know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like everybody makes money. The only time I make money is when I sit down and have a table. Then I hope I make my money back. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
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 Have you ever been to Comic Con?
Nah, San Diego Comic Con, yeah,
Yeah.
as a guest.
Okay.
Real good friend of mine, Mildred. I'm blanking on her last name. Her and her husband, great folks. I met them at a Comic Con as well, Black Comics Day, last year, matter of fact, in Balboa Park we had, and they were real good folks. They writers and everything, and they just popped out the booth like, "Hey, we got this, extra ticket for Comic Con. Would you like to go?" I was like, "Hell's yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, really, yeah." You know what I mean? So that was my first time, going down there. I got me a room in Encinitas, probably about
Yeah.
45 minutes away, 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so, I was, but and this is my last year, last year Comic Con, it was packed. Like, that was one of the biggest ones ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
that was,
actually tabled there. You didn't come by, so we kind of feel a little hurt. But it's all right. It's all right.
I don't think I knew you guys back
No,
then.
you
I
didn't
don't
notice
think-
that. But you still didn't come by.
Look,
We were in small
yeah,
press,
right.
you know.
You probably did. Like, I know. It was so many people, bro. It
Yeah.
was so, and then it was packed. And I was trying to catch Galactus. I was trying to catch Giant Galactus, man. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept missing him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. And great job, by the way, getting the freaking table at San Diego Comic Con. That's like did you at least do better there than you did
Oh
at
yeah, we
San
did.
Diego?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
we did better. We did paid for the experience. You know, you have to stay in a hotel and everything,
Oh, yeah.
but we did
Yeah,
better there than we've done anywhere else.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
And we're on the wait list this year, which we were on the wait list last year. We found out July 3rd. Hey, do
Yeah.
you want to come do it July 21st or whatever? And it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
damn.
okay.
Like, yeah, okay. But you got to rush and get everything ready.
We did.
And
We pulled
hotel
everything
room.
together. We were already
Yeah.
going. You can get a professional if you've published a comic book. You can go as a professional.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah.
just have to ask. You have to sign up for it,
Exactly.
and which you would qualify for. And it's free to go to the show.
Yeah.
It's cost everything to stay there because they
Yeah,
jack up the
yeah.
prices and everything. So we were already going to
Crazy.
go,
I was
and
gonna
so we
say
just,
the show is free. The lodging you
Yeah.
have to pay for.
yeah, and so we just added a day to the reservation, which was honestly, it didn't seem to make a difference. Like, it was almost like a free day.
Yeah, yeah.
How much they jack up the prices. But
Yeah.
that was easy to do. But it was sort of like we had starting the Friday of a holiday weekend is not the best time to try to pull everything together. But
Man, on the real, definitely. And I learned too, the little different ways you can do to save money. Bring in, food. Like, I bring breakfast. I'm a big fan of,
Yeah.
muffins, and especially when you have a table,
Mhm.
bro, muffins, bananas, fruit, make some sandwiches or something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Some little chips, things I can afford that can hold me over until dinner time. So when, okay, you finally want to go out? Okay, we can go out to get something to eat. Maybe. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
where we go. But
Yeah.
like certain ways you can kind of just try to, save a buck or two, man, so you can spend it somewhere else, on
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah, we learned a few things that we could save on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Should this happen again, Comic Con, we're waiting.
Yeah. Comic Expo, man, coming up. Yeah, that's
Okay.
gonna definitely, yeah.
Uh,
But yeah.
yeah. We also did WonderCon last year.
Yeah, I'm
Which-
trying to get in WonderCon this year.
We're on the wait list again. But you want to be
Yeah.
in Artist Alley. You don't want to be in Small Press because Small Press is off the beaten path and nobody goes. If you're looking for Funkos, they come into the room or they know somebody particular they want to see, but if you're trying to get discovered there, it wasn't. We felt like we
Yeah,
were just
yeah.
way off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
you
definitely know. I've been there, and it's like it's a big room, big area, but you kind of gotta go way over here, and it's like, oh,
well,
okay.
there's like 3 rooms, and art and the small press is in the third room. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah, it was. I don't think a lot. Some people do well at wherever they go, and it's always interesting to have. We were, I guess it was at was he? Oh, he wasn't at LA Comic Con, but we were always across the way from Dope Cat
Yeah.
at WonderCon, and he was across from us at Comic Con. And he
Like,
was,
hey, you're following me, man. What's
yeah,
going
yeah,
on?
yeah, yeah. So he always seemed to do pretty good business. He also lucked out
Hmm.
as the people next to him didn't show up at Comic Con, so he just spread out. He had two
Spread
tables.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always
Yeah.
dope too. That's what I'm hoping to get into too. And that's one thing I kind of noticed too. Like it's like if you're new or whatever, and you're just uh, uh trying to just break into the industry and have your own books and everything like that. That's why my table looks how it looks. I try to be as visually appealing as possible. Use all these bright colors and these huge banners and everything. I mean, it costs 2 arms and a leg,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it's like I know that if I have a billboard for myself, like, hey, I'm here, and then I have good quality products, and then hey, I'm inviting you with a nice smile, then hopefully the traffic will come my way, and it's been working out pretty good so far. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's about just standing out, being that diamond in the rough, man. Regardless of what the competition is or where you're at, you got to make the best of it, and make. I make it like I make it look like I'm somebody. You know what I mean? Before what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
somebody. Yeah. So yeah.
Who is your ideal reader?
Uh, Anybody who loves books, like Ebony, the Ebony series, and the whole Dark Ones universe I created. It's like Dungeons and Dragons meets Walking Dead meets Game of Thrones meets Greek mythology. Or the mythology of old. All the things I've loved and liked, the Odyssey and everything like that, the Iliad, those epic quests and tales, and the just the scale of those stories and those worlds, the world building that went into those stories. Like that's what I love too. So the whole Dark Ones series is for that crowd, and this anybody crowd. I mean, what's the age group for the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings? Everybody,
Right.
right? So I don't have nudity on my books. It's a little cursing and everything. Not much, because when I was at elementary school, I cursed like a sailor. Because that's what we do when we, yeah,
There are books
that's what
like
we
that.
do when we,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what we do when you're away from our parents, man. Like, as soon as I left the house in 5th grade, I was like, mother, you know what I mean? 'Cause that's what
Yeah.
we do. So, you know what I mean? So I don't mind the cuss words. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Or I even have the superhero genre, which is a sincere American nightmare. Okay, so let me show you. This is my Ebony book. You can also go to my website or
Right.
my Instagram page, check out my books and everything. This is my Sincere American Nightmare. This book is blowing up right now,
Mm.
selling out in stores and everything. So yeah, we're getting ready to. This is more of a superhero genre.
Yep.
This is more fun and everything, and because comics for me is full of superhero stuff. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'll always gravitate towards, like when I was reading The Walking Dead or Suiciders by Lee Marejo and Brian Azzarello, or just the fringe stories, the fringe stories, the stories that are about people in strange places, and just crazy little, dang, that's insane. You know what I mean? Something like that. So that's why I came up with the whole Dark Ones universe. I have more stories in my head that I want to get out. I have a few. Matter of fact, I did one with good friends of mine, Brent Trimbath and Joe Sung. We got a story called Bloodsuckers. That's coming out. They're doing Bloodsuckers too. It's right now. We did it for an anthology
Mm.
with Antiba Royster for a vampire anthology. He won an anthology basically all based on what had something to do with vampires. And so I wrote that story, Bloodsuckers. It's basically Frankenstein versus vampires.
Mm.
With Frankenstein being it takes place in like the Civil War era, back when all that stuff was going on, and basically my Frankenstein was created by voodoo, by African voodoo priest who was an ex-slave and everything, and the Frankenstein was made from the stitched together parts of dead slaves.
Ah.
you know yeah, yeah, so they're going against the vampires and everything who or symbolized by, the government essentially. So, it's a whole basic. I have a theme running through a lot of my stories,
Yeah.
but that's a lot of fun. They did it like in black and white. It's like looks real New York. And I love that whole aesthetic because that's the first time I really did a horror book, and I just love the way it came out. And so I shot them. I gave them, it was the story when I gave them the story for the anthology. It was 8 pages. Brent, he loved it so much. The artist and the penciler, he loved it so much that he expanded it to 10 pages.
Huh.
And and he published it like that. Let me see this somewhere in here. I gotta find it. I'm gonna post more pages, man. I've been so busy right now. I ain't been posting on social media like that like I'm supposed to. But it's that, and and then I wrote because he loved it so much, and then I loved that he loved it so much, and I loved how it came out when he was showing me the illustrations and everything. And so I wrote a part 2 to it, and I just I'm gonna make this 10 pages, right? And I was like, man, we gotta make a book out of this, man. We gotta get this to the people, and that's what we're doing. And we're also I also gave him another script because he loved that. We hooked up again and we was talking because we met up at Black Comics Day a couple weeks ago, and got into it and talking to him back and forth. And I told him like, man, I got another story called Devil's Pie. Strange Fruit Devil Pie. Kind of got the same title and everything like that. But it's another horror story based in rural South back in 1940s. You know what I mean? And so it's like, and it's the horror genre too. So I'm getting into that because my thing is I do want to work for the big two, Marvel and DC, as well as do my own independent stuff under Skye-Tiger Comics. I can do all. We'll figure it out then. But in order to do that or work for anybody, I have to show them a diverse portfolio. Things that I can do, and not just one subject. So I can do superhero stuff. I can do action adventure, fantasy stuff. I can do horror. You know what I mean? I can do a little bit of comedy because comedy is interspersed within all those stories. You know what I mean? So it's about it's just like I'm an artist, right? You go to the to a portfolio review and you open up your book and you show them like, hey, I can do this. I can do spreads. I can do panel by panel, page by page, and it's like that for artists. I mean, for a writer, except I have to actually produce these works,
Right.
and then get the word out and circulate my stories around amongst the people in the industry. So yeah.
In the two books you sent us, they were both 2026.
Yeah.
So these are both coming out at the same time, I guess.
Yeah. Definitely. They finished around the same time, and because Sincere American Nightmare is done by a great man, my best friend, man, Marcus Newsom. He's from Compton as well as I am, and Ray Anthony had our bosses. He's from Compton too. Yeah, so yeah, he illustrated that book, and everything was going tandem side by side. Because while he's working on that book, I was also working with Lucas to get Ebony done, and it was kind of like not necessarily a race to see who would finish first, but they both finished at the same time, and so like, hey, I got 2 books now,
Yeah.
and I got
That's a
two
lot of
books,
money
and
too. Yeah.
man, yeah,
Yeah.
and now I'm coming out with I got 2 more books. I'm just waiting on my artists to get done with their current projects they're on before they can come back and get back on mine because I'm trying to release 3 more books by the end of the year.
Wow.
Next one is Ebony and a Troublemaker, which is the next, basically number 2 in the Ebony series I got going, and also Frankenstein King of the Zombies.
Right.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna work on been working on a script for Sincere, number 2. Yeah, and then some more Ebony's and everything like that. I'm branch out and do some more stories, but I just want to get those done and out the way so I can because those are that's part of Studio Skye-Tiger line,
Right.
and that's I got to meet these deadlines. I got to get the work done before I can move on to something else. And just have some more fun. But it's all gonna be for Skye-Tiger anyway. I mean,
Do
I
you
just like
ever
being diverse.
do you ever hire yourself out as a writer through this publisher?
Yeah. I mean, I'm super new, so I haven't got hired as of yet. I'm looking forward to it. But the best way to get hired is produce great work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I know I'll get there eventually. Yeah, somebody will hire me. Somebody will see me, be like, "Hey, man, you're pretty dope." I mean, I know it's gonna happen. I'm not worried about it. It'd be nice to get paid. It's nice for me to get paid first instead of an artist.
Yeah.
You know what
No.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like I gotta. Why should people hire me over somebody else? You know what I mean? So making sure I prove that point and building my resume, my portfolio, my skill set. Work on my craft, and take it seriously and get better with every script I put out. You know, yeah.
In the books, where there's also, I think, a page, and for Dark Ones, Tales from the Fall, are these all related to that, or is this some
Yeah,
overarching?
yeah. It's like the Tales from the Fall. There's all. I should have gave you some more too. I just gave you the two, and I was moving fast.
It's all right.
Yeah, yeah. But it's is those are basically like prequels, or how should I say? Those are yeah, prequels or preludes to the world and the story. Right. So in order to play a game, you got to know what the rules are.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So those are basically like establishing the rules and the overall cast of characters and the rules for the world. And so when you read the subsequent books that come after, you already know what you're getting into. And so I don't have to over explain, through however it means. But I still do take liberties and explain as I go because people who haven't read those will still want to know about certain things. And so I try to explain as artfully as I can, and make it so I'm not info dumping, but it's just they're learning, as they read the story, like, oh, okay, that's cool too. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a way you have to finesse information into stories so people won't just get bored, like, oh, you just telling me stuff, so because you want me to know. Like, no, I want you to, read it and enjoy it and be like, oh, that's so cool. It's always, you know, better to learn about, Bruce Wayne being Batman than, you know, them reliving, even though they do it probably like every freaking five, every five issues that you get in a flashback of, his parents getting shot. It's like, bro, we get it. You know what I mean? No, seriously, like every issue, you always get a flashback and like you see the parents getting shot. It's like, bro,
Yeah.
we know what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, that's the way to do it, but it's a lot of ways you can do it through narration. You can do it through what the character goes through. You can kind of do flashbacks. I mean, it's different ways to do it depending on what type of story you're doing and how you're telling it. You know what I mean? And you
Mm.
got to go by feeling by instinct at the end of the day. So yeah.
Uh, you mentioned it before, but I did see on Instagram from, I don't know who, I did not catch the man's name, but he was from Studio Skye-Tiger talking about the Compton Comic Expo.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right, Anthony Hank.
Okay.
That's boss.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, that's boss. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we getting that hooked up right now. We got honored, specifically Ray got honored, and I got honored as well, me and Marcus, by the Compton City of Compton, Compton 125 Historical Society.
Cool.
We went to Gonzalez Park and they presented us with certificates and everything. Matter of fact, I got them right here.
Wow.
Looking at, yeah, gave us a whole big, you know what I mean? City
That's
of
cool.
Well,
Compton.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Then they gave us, that fell out. It's still here, I promise. But yeah. But yeah.
Oh, that's
The
cool.
whole little,
nice.
Wow.
yeah, man. Pretty dope.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Neat.
Yeah, yeah. Got my thing, doing my thing. But yeah, got that going. They honored us, man. It was nice. You'll find that on my Instagram page too. The whole little ceremony we had. We all spoke and everything. It was pretty darn cool.
That is
You know
cool.
what I mean? To get honored by the city
Yeah.
that, I was raised in and everything. So yeah, that was dope, man. And yeah, so Ray along with the Compton 125, and we're working on getting sponsorships and just trying to get it planned. But it's definitely gonna happen. We just just trying to just move the bus. We got to get more hands to push that thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, yeah.
Do you have any what time of the year you're gonna go for? I mean,
Probably the fourth quarter. Sometime in the fourth quarter. Give ourselves enough time to plan, prepare, and get all the the nuts and bolts, bells and whistles going because we want to make sure that it's a quality show. And Ray knows that a crap ton of people in the industry, specifically people who have put on shows and conventions before, and not just because he knows that a lot of artists and within the industry, big time artists as well. So it's like he's pulling all his resources and getting as much knowledge and allies with him as possible so we can make this success, man, and make this a yearly annual thing, man. And really, I think we honestly, I don't think I know we can be one of the most premier shows in LA. You know what I mean? Because LA Comic Con is, I love that show, but it's up and down depending on, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Depending on, the time of year and, what's going on. There's been like a little controversy going back and forth with LA Comic Con and, what's been going on with that. But, and we have Long Beach Comic Con and a few other ones. But I think, Compton Comic Con and, just by sheer, magnitude of, the, 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 the prestige that Compton brings.
Right.
Whether you want to say good or bad, but it's still like it's come on, man, Compton, you said, and everybody kind of turns their head and, perks their ears a little bit, like, what's
Yeah.
going on? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we want to bring that and also make the city look good, because it's not as horrible as you think it is. Not no more. It used to be, crime ridden and crime infested and a whole bunch of, chaos and things going on. And yes, it's still pockets of that, like it's pockets of that everywhere.
Yeah.
But we do know how to, show up and, be on our best behavior, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I have no doubts that it'll be good and be run smoothly, man. Our folks, man, we especially nowadays, man, how the climate and the culture has been. It's been real beautiful as far as black folks just coming together and just being more aware of what the world is and our stake and our place in it. And I feel at least we're becoming a whole lot less adversarial. Because it's Compton, man. There's a whole bunch of gang warfare and chaos going on, but the crime is going down a whole bunch, and people are becoming more aware. Like, man, it's bigger than us. We can't, contribute to our own downfall no more, because we know if through gangs and the violence and all like that, that's just symptoms of the bigger system. You know what I mean? Like we turn to crime because we don't have no opportunities. Because we're black, and so they keep us from this, and the education is down. This, that. It's so many systematic things that have put not just Compton but ghettos around the United States and the world in the position that they are. Not because the people are lazy or incompetent or selfish or any other verbs or
Right.
adverbs that people will put on it, but but because it's also contributing because of the system that holds it down. Now people become more aware than ever of the system and who runs the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know, then you've been living under a box, under a rock. You know what I mean? So yeah, so people
Yeah.
become aware, and with that awareness comes, um, 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 enlightenment and responsibility. Like, okay, now I know. Once you know better, then you do better.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah. Mhm.
Um, Changing the subject of, what's your opinion of AI?
AI, it's a great tool. Like, okay, so in my industry, comic industry, they hate it.
Mm.
Which I
Yeah.
understand. I wouldn't want, anybody to use AI to write. Like, artists wouldn't like anybody to use AI to draw or to create art.
Right.
But what I use AI for is I use AI for concept art. Or, with my artists, when I have, a character that I want to have illustrated or a certain place or a setting, I use AI. And I type in the prompt in AI and I give them about 15 or 10 or 15 examples of the general idea I have. And then from there, they can go and they can, create my characters.
Right.
Because that I found that is way more better than me explaining it or writing it down or me going back and forth like, no, change this, change that. Like, nah, I give you 10 versions of the same thing and you can just put them 10 versions together however you want to, and you basically gonna get my idea. So it's a tool like that. You know what I mean? So I see it, as being valuable like that. Now I can't, because I wanted to use it. Like, for example, I asked my colleagues, like, hey, how about for like a comic page I have, right? And it's already been illustrated and everything like that. Can I use AI to make the characters move and everything like that? They was like, no. It's like, oh man. It's like, why? I was like, why not? It's like, how would you feel if we got AI to write something for us? I was like, okay, okay. I wouldn't like that at all. It's like, I mean, I wouldn't. It's not me, so I wouldn't mind specifically. But it's like, why? Because it's like AI might get that good eventually down the road, but it's like it's no need, man. Because you don't want,
Yeah.
I want Terminator to take over the world, man.
No,
Like, we got
art is
this,
a
man.
human expression, not
Exactly.
robotic
And art, I think art
regurgitation.
becomes great in the error, in the errors,
Mm.
because I think it's in that human error is where greatness, is manifest. You know what I mean? Because art, computers can't. They can copy technique, in the finished product, but that finished product has been the result of human errors, and those errors being, learned and honed and shaped, over time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't get, a Van Gogh painting with AI.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You can't
Yeah.
get that initial. You can get the style now with
Yeah.
AI, but the initial Van Gogh style, that whole warped, dreamy, you can't get that by using AI. You have to have a person to have that thought, that journey, and then to have them mess with that art style so many ways. Like Picasso, he was doing impressionist art. He was doing a very, fine classical figure, art before he started doing the
Cubism.
shapes and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
cubism, exactly. That came through that era and that evolution, and he helped further that movement.
Right.
That things come from error and from learning, and AI will never get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it always be that gap. It looks cool. It looks pretty. Like I see a whole bunch of stuff on Instagram that's done with AI, specifically tribute videos from past. Like I seen one that was a cool one with Black Panther Chadwick Boseman and Prince and Luther Vandross. They was all sitting in the field with flowers around like they was in heaven. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Done with AI. Some things we will never get with regular people, because regular people, they'd be like, oh, I can make that, but it'll take too long and I got to get permission, and it's a whole thing. Whether it's AI, like I know I'm not going to get paid for this, but it's fun and cool to see and experience. You know what I mean? So I think in that sense, like as long as you can use AI, but you can't get paid for it, I think that's fine. You can use AI as much as you want to, but as soon as you can't get paid for it. That's my line, because AI is basically you stealing from everybody on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Was Kaepernick had a one year was trying to come out with a, hey, you don't have to be creative to come up with comic books. You can use this AI thing and steal them all. Basically.
Yeah.
No. You gotta.
Nah, you gotta make it, man.
Yeah.
Or you can do whatever you want to, but you're not gonna be allowed in Comic-Con because they ban that shit and they will kick you out. So it's like, yeah, and I feel the same way. Like, and nah, man, you gotta actually put in all the hard work I did. You gotta do that same shit.
Yeah.
Just like everybody who learned how to be artists, went to school and struggled with, and learning and drawing fucking eyes 1,000 times and drawing hands 1,000,000,000 times and drawing feet and pick. No, you got to do that shit. You can't skip all that part and expect to get picked. Nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Nah, like just like how I sat down and I wrote paragraphs and sentences and figured out techniques and erased a million times. Not like, nah, you got to put in that work in order to earn what you're gonna earn. You know what I mean? Ain't no easy button in life. You know what I mean? So advice and suggestions, that's the easy button. Learn and sit in class, that's the easy button, because you're going through the process of, learning and working on your craft and honing that. But just to skip all that and be like, hey, I'm a pro.
Yeah.
You're a cheater. Yeah.
We agree on that part of it. So we're assuming you've read some of Power Squared.
Yeah, I read a lot of Power Squared. I got about halfway through picking because my life been crazy.
Yeah,
I haven't been reading comics. Nah, but it's good. I want to know, like, okay, so, because I seen your brother there, Paul. Like, so you got real twins? Because y'all all look alike.
Yeah, he has an identical twin brother, which is why we came up with the idea of identical twin brothers.
Yeah, that's dope. And I seen it was written by both of you guys. So what was that experience like? Like, did you go? Like, did you both come up with general ideas? Like, okay, but who was actually sitting down, like writing everything down, or was it like a back and forth? How'd that process go?
A little bit of a back and forth. We had, I guess, we had noticed that there weren't a lot of twins that were superheroes.
Yeah.
There's some out there, but there were.
Well, they were usually like side characters.
Right.
So like the Wonder Twins from like Super Friends and everything. That's kind of the ones I could think of. Yeah.
Yeah. So we decided that it would be good to do something about,
twins as protagonists.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we just sort of bounced a lot out. We used to go on walks and we would talk about it. Remember that? And we had bounced some ideas off other people, but basically, we kind of came up with the idea of what powers they would have, and we came up with a little twist that they can't. One brother can't use the same power the other one's using at the same time, and so we came up with some, try to make it a little more interesting than just, hey, and they don't have and they don't have like super strength and they can't fly, that kind of stuff. They're just sort of have.
I love the way they're kind of like just figuring it out as it goes. Like, wait, what? Because it's like first they got the little telepathy thing, like they got the twin thing going on. That kind of just is there. Like I get that, Then it's like the like. Wait, I got powers like what? And you got, I forget her name, but she was introduced. She was the nine-tailed fox.
Mocha.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like Mocha. Yeah, she was like, I seen her eyes. I was like that. That was clever too. She was like, the first thing she did was a little coffee cup like Mocha. I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, I'm going with that. You know what I mean? So that was clever, man. And I like the whole just look, because it's like when you got powers and you're an ordinary person, it's like how would that like like what? Like it's like and you got different personalities that come with it. So everybody's not going to be Spider-Man. Everybody's not going to become Spider-Man. I mean, get powers and get bitten, start jumping
Yeah.
off a building. You know what I mean? Even though they do and go and save their uncle, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
they go
Yeah.
through that whole little thing. Yeah, yeah.
But
But still,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, good. You seem to have picked up on it. we find that people actually read it. They tend to like it, but there's getting people to actually read it.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for us.
no, it's all in your pitch, man, and doing your thing. And it's the pitch and then the art that you show people.
Right.
Because regardless of what you tell them, and I figured that out too. It don't even matter what you tell them; it's what you show them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I have that's what my table looks like. Look, I have the big portfolio books. They
Yeah.
come by and I can flip through and look at the books because it's like that's what sells the art. It's like because people, it takes time to read, but you can glance at a picture and see if it's pretty or not.
So are
You know what I mean?
those pages from the? We did see you have that. Were those
Yeah,
pages without the dialogue, or was it just the art, or they're just
it's
big
both.
pages?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because some of them have dialogue in it, some of them don't. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily mind the dialogue because it's cool because people can sit there and read it and be like, "Oh, that's cool," because it helps too.
Yeah.
With selling it, and they get the whole full effect. And it depends sometimes because a lot like some of the art that I have in there, like I specifically chose like, "Nah, this is cool. I don't want to have no words in it because I want them to read it. You know, I want them to actually read the book in order to actually read the actual words and buy the book and all like that, so they can just see the art right here. But at the same time, I was like, nah, it's cool for them to sit down and actually just read the book and flip through the page and see like the little banter back and forth between characters. Like that's cool too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they can get the experience of it. You know what I mean? And they're sitting, and while they're sitting there flipping through and reading it, you have somebody. It looks like as people pass by, oh, there's what they're doing at that table. Let
Yeah.
me go over there and see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the
Yeah.
whole. It's like when bees, it's the looky loos, and driving in traffic, it's like, where are they doing? And who's so good over there? Let
Yeah.
me go see. You know what I mean? Now you
Yeah.
got two people standing at the table. You know what I mean? So it's all about presentation. But yeah, definitely learn that art and showcasing your art and your artist is the most important thing to attracting people to your table and getting them to buy things. Because the first thing they say, oh, that's cool art. And you're like, oh, okay, now I got you. Now
Yeah.
let me tell you a little bit about it. Oh, that sounds so cool. How
Yeah.
much is this? There you go.
Yeah.
Let me get this one. There
You're
you go.
also very outgoing. I will give you that credit too. We're
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of basically a bunch of introverts, and so going out in public is kind of a little bit of a
Yeah.
Yeah.
kid star normal.
Look, practice. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm the opposite way. Like in normal life, I'm introvert. Like I don't because comics and doing comic books and everything. That's the only time I'm really, really, truly happy. You know what I mean? Because I create my comics in my room in the vacuum in a black hole. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. I can't talk to 90% of people in my
Yeah.
life about comics because they generally do not care.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean? And so when I finally get a chance to talk to people about my comics, I'm excited. Like, man, I've been holding this inside forever. Heck yeah, I
Yeah.
want to talk to you. You know
Yeah.
what I
I
mean? And
understand.
so it's yeah. So it's practice, but it's just it's a muscle. And when I was in prison too, I would facilitated classes to where I had to basically lead. First I wasn't always that way because I was just sitting in class, being quiet, listening and learning. But I had to learn to eventually sit down, facilitate classes, whether it was anger management or Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or Criminal Gangs Anonymous. Is synonymous for everything, right?
Yeah.
But sitting in those classes and facilitating those, or Gogi, getting out by going in. So it's kind of like an anger management, decision making, conflict resolution class. That's more likely what it is. But it's all about reading, learn how to read literature in the books and then explain literature to students and everything like that. It's like you learn the habit of talking and getting comfortable talking. Especially when you're talking about something you're knowledgeable and passionate about.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's kind of easier because you do it in your head all the time.
Right.
So it's like now I can talk to somebody about it. You know what I mean? And that helps. But it's all about doing what will feel comfortable to you. And smiling and hey, how you doing? And being engaging and I mean all these things play a factor. But at the end of the day, do what's comfortable for you, but don't put yourself in a box too much. Because you guys are doing good. I mean, what I'll say is, continue to be you. You don't necessarily have to, you can be yourself, man. That's the one thing I love about Comic Con in general. People are, you meet all type of people at Comic Cons, man. And people, like I said, they're artist types, man. What I mean by artist types is they're not as outgoing. They're quiet. They let their art speak for them. That's their safety net. That's their safe place. Their art, whether they're
Hmm.
drawing, whether they're writing, whatever they decide to do, creating, whatever. That's their safe place. So they want their art to speak for them. and that's fine, but it's added bonus. Like for me, when I went around and I see something, and I see something I like, I'm like, oh man, this is cool. And I'm a curious person, so I'll ask like, and I'm an artist as well, so I'm like, oh, what's your technique when you make this, or how did you do that? How do you do that? What inspired you? And I get conversations like that, and that's when you get the artists say, oh, they ask me questions about my stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So it get them perk up because like it's the same thing for them. They create all their art in the box. 90% of people in their life probably don't care about what they do. You know what I mean? But they care. And so it's like you have to, you know, it's okay, put it like this. Why would I buy something from you if you don't even like it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it's like if you don't like it, then why should I like it?
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you happy and you're like, oh man, this is dope, this is amazing, I created this is my story, me and my brother were twins, man, and we're going through this. We was like, wouldn't it be this cool story if we did this? So that's what we did. You know what I mean? We started out, but this is what it's about. Cool twins having powers and doing crazy stuff. You know what I mean? And what would you do if you had a visibility? I could see some naked girls in the tub too. That's what I would do. You know what I mean?
I know. I just sort of, when we were writing that, it was sort of like, if you could be invisible, you're a certain age of guy.
Come on, that's
yeah,
the first thing
yeah.
you would do. Like, what do you? That's not weird.
Yeah.
You're weird if you don't want to do it. Like, that's what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every guy understands that. Every woman like, that's a little creepy. No, every guy would.
Every
do
guy would.
Yeah.
Come on, really? And girls know. Come on, they just being weird. They
Yeah,
know.
I know.
Yeah.
So, do you have any hobbies outside of writing?
No, I mean, I don't even have time for hobbies, dude. Like, I have a PS4 right here. What is it? 5 is the latest one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, I have PS4 right here. It's collecting. That has a layer of dust an inch thick. I wish I could play Grand Theft Auto and Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and I haven't played them. You know, my hobby. Oh, my hobby is watching good movies and good TV shows. Like, I've been Blue Eye Samurai was amazing. I watched The Blood of Zeus was spectacular. Man, it's so many shows. I'm watching Primal right now. I watched the old season. I'm watching the new season right now. Primal is spectacular.
Yeah.
Like shows like that's always been my hobby and my love. Like, growing up, my dad took us to the movies all the time, and my brothers. And, we'll see movies, every month on a regular basis, So I love, the whole theater and movie experiences, TV shows. And I've been gone a long time. I was locked up almost 18 years. And so all these shows are brand new to me. I never seen Stranger Things. I never seen, all the Walking Dead like that. There's so many shows that are, super, super brand new. Whole many movies are super, super brand new. So everything is like, everybody watched everything in COVID. I never got that. So now it's like all the anime shows people talk about, I'm trying to, little by little get into, but it's not enough time in the day. And then I still have to write and get it in. And really, honestly, like my comics is, that's where I find my joy. Like my life be chaos and it be shitty sometimes. And, me trying to adjust, just being out here in the free world and trying to, take care and support myself and, still be here and, present for my family and my loved ones that takes a lot of time and, a lot of mental and physical energy, and I decompress by writing, man, doing my stories, because that's my happy time. That's the way I can, articulate my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I can, sink myself into my world. I can disappear from all the chaos and stress of my life. I can disappear into my stories. You know what I mean? And then when I complete my stories, it's like I've done something worthwhile.
Right.
I've done something, meaningful, because this is something that nobody's paying me for. That nobody, really even, most of the time even cares about, but I care about it. And when I do something, I complete it, and then I get it printed and I get it illustrated. It's like, that's my own Mount Everest I climbed. You know what I mean? And nobody's around, when you get to the top of Mount Everest, nobody's around to clap for you.
Yeah.
But you know that you made it to the top, and you clap for your damn self. You know what I mean? Then when you come down, you're like, I climbed Mount Everest, motherfucker. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when something gets published or released, it's like, okay, this is we've accomplished something. We've gone through the ropes and we got it out, and there's a certain accomplishment you feel, and like, okay, this is out finally.
Yeah.
Nobody else comes up and pats you on the back, but.
Yeah, and think of it this way too: when you complete a comic book, bro, and you get it published, and then you sit down at the table at a show, 99% of people don't do that.
No.
Can't do that.
No.
We part of 1%.
Yeah.
99% of people, they talk about it. oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, but they just talking.
Yeah.
So to actually sit down and put your money where your mouth is and your time and your talent and sit down at the table,
Money.
man, that's the accomplishment. Yeah, mostly money,
So
mostly money.
where can people buy your books?
We have Studio Skye-Tiger Comics launching on March the 1st. You can buy them there. You can buy them at the Comic Den. You can buy them at the Comic Bug. We're gonna have a signing book signing there on the 18th later on this month. We're gonna try to get some wide distribution, but from our website when that launches, you can buy everything from there.
Okay.
You can buy from our website as well, janansicomics.com. Yeah, definitely. We're gonna, especially with Skye-Tiger Comics now, and I'm under the publishing company now. It's gonna be way easier to buy everything. You can catch us at shows. We're gonna be at Comic Con Revolution coming up. We're gonna be at WonderCon coming up. There's quite a few places, but just stay tuned. Stay tuned to our channel, my Instagram page, at Jamal Anansi, at Jamal_Anansi. Yeah, but yeah, you'll definitely be able to purchase it, everywhere pretty soon.
Okay, cool. All right. So thank you for being on the show and taking the time.
Man, thank you so much for inviting me, man. You guys are awesome, man. I'm gonna finish reading your books right now.
So you got other stuff to do. We understand that. All right.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube later and you like this, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more.
All right. So until
like and subscribe, man. Like and subscribe. Push that button.
All right.
Down there.
So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.